Oh, check this out. Almost 30 years ago now. Has it really been that long? The computer puzzle game Myst, well, mystified players around the world, leading to a slew of follow-ups. If you fell in love with Myst back in '93 and you want to feel like you're really part of that strange, haunting world, it's coming to VR very, very soon. Facebook announced Wednesday that a remake of Myst is coming to Oculus headsets on December 10th, supposedly built with VR in mind. This version of Myst will let players solve all the original game's puzzles to unravel the mysteries of its iconic island setting in VR, instead of on a low-res early 90s CRT monitor. Myst on Oculus was originally revealed earlier this year, so the real news here is the imminent release date. To accompany that, Facebook announced release dates for a couple other titles that were announced earlier this year as well. First up is Pistol Whip 2089. It's a sci-fi sequel to the original Pistol Whip. If you aren't familiar with it, Pistol Whip is about shooting people with guns in a colorful, stylized world, while a bass-heavy synth soundtrack fills your ears. The sequel will launch on December 1st. In addition to that, fans of Warhammer 40,000 will be able to visit that severe and intense sci-fi world in VR for the first time in Warhammer 40,000 Battle Sister. That's also a first-person action game, though it looks to be significantly more bloody and violent than the other two games in this announcement. It's going to be out December 8th. For gamers of a certain age, Myst might be a good reason to invest in a VR rig. Nostalgia is powerful, after all. If nothing else, it's a decent excuse to keep an eye on Black Friday deals for Oculus headsets. If earthly destinations are not enough to quench your urge for adventure, a trip to space might get on your radar within the next few years. You might be able to visit an actual space hotel. The designer of the Von Braun space station revealed numerous plans that detail the construction of a veritable resort in space. Built by the Gateway Foundation, the world's first space hotel is going to have gravity, bars, inviting interiors, and full-fledged kitchens. They plan to have the station visited by about 100 tourists per week by 2025. The designer of the project, Tim Alatorre, wants to make traveling to space commonplace. Eventually, going to space will be just another option people will pick for their vacation, just like going on a cruise or going to Disney World. Alatorre said in an interview recently. He thinks that while initially space travel will be the domain of the uber wealthy, soon enough, it will be available for regular folks as well. The space station will utilize existing tech used at the International Space Station, but will differ in one crucial aspect. The hotel will have gravity. In fact, it's going to make it a long-term stay facility and will be much more manageable than the ISS. The designer thinks gravity, about a sixth of what you find here on Earth, will add a sense of direction and orientation that isn't present in the ISS. You'd also be able to go to a toilet, have a shower, and eat food the way that you're used to. The idea for the station was taken from none other than Wernher von Braun. Hence the name. If you recall, Wernher von Braun was a top Nazi rocket scientist who developed the infamous V-2 rocket. After the war, he was taken in by NASA and became a famous American scientist. The hotel will be a part of his complex legacy. The station will be made of a giant wheel, 190 meters in diameter, which will be rotating to generate a gravitational force similar in pull to the moon's. 24 individual modules with sleeping and support facilities will be spread around the wheel on 3 decks, providing accommodation to about 400 people. Alatorre compares the hotel to a cruise ship, pointing out it will have many of the things you see on cruise ships: restaurants, bars, musical concerts, movie screenings, even educational seminars, just in space. How will the station be built, you're asking? Well, by using automated systems like drones and robots while in orbit. It will also make use of GSAL, a special space construction machinery developed by Orbital Construction. Looking ahead, the Gateway Foundation sees the Von Braun space station as their proof of concept. They intend to build bigger space stations in the future as demand for such vacations grow. Their next class of station is called the Gateway and can accommodate more than 1,400 people. Anheuser-Busch thinks that the best games console is one that you can also store a couple of cans of the cold stuff in. The brewery is launching BL6. It's a gaming PC in the shape of a six-pack with a built-in projector and, naturally, a couple of koozies to keep your light beers cold. Never one to say no to a techie marketing stunt, it's the latest in a long series of gadgets and gizmos created by the beer brand. The brewery is putting its tongue far into its cheek with the BL6, a product it compares to some other next-generation consoles that came out recently. And while Microsoft and Sony's efforts can probably beat it spec for spec, neither rival machine comes with its own beer cooler or projector. It auctioned off a model with all proceeds going to the National Restaurant Foundation. That money will support the charity's Change is on the Menu program, which helps train people in the food service industry. PC Mag has actually spent some time with a BL6 unit and says that the PC part of the machine is just a Windows 10 machine with an Intel Core i7 chip and 16 gigs of RAM. It's paired up with an Asus ZenBeam 720 projector and has a pair of 8-bit M30 Pro Plus gamepads to go with it. It's also packing its own battery, which the company says will run for about 2 hours before you need to head back to a wall socket. It's likely that the machine only has integrated graphics, but that has enough for the included games that it comes with. That's Tekken 7, Soul Calibur, and RBI Baseball 2020. The BL6 was auctioned off over at Beer Shop Gear with a bid of at least $8,500. Science fiction has been dangling the promise of holograms in front of us for quite a few decades now. But like hoverboards and flying cars, the tech always feels just out of reach. Now Samsung has made a major stride towards realistic holograms with a prototype thin panel device that can display 3D images in 4K resolution with a wide viewing angle. There are plenty of imitators using the hologram name, reflective screens, headsets, and even live performances, but these are usually smoke and mirrors, sometimes literally. True holograms are 3D images that appear to pop out of a 2D screen. The effect is usually created by lasers, with their light modulated just right so that different sections of the image appear to be different distances away, giving the illusion of depth. The problem is most of them are tiny, have fairly low resolution, and are only viewable from a very specific angle. The Samsung prototype attempts to solve all of these problems. The display is smartphone-sized, sports 4K resolution, and can be viewed at a wider range of angles. Better yet, it does so with less bulky optical systems and just a single processor to run the holographic video in real time. Now, if you're watching this video thinking that doesn't look much like a hologram, this visual trickery only works in real life. You can't actually take a video and get a holographic image on video with this technology. So it's definitely something that you're going to have to see to believe in person.